Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or The Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be going in depth into my week number 13 running back start or sit decisions. Inside today's video, we're going to be going over every single matchup on the week from Thursday Night Football all the way until Monday Night Football, and I'll be telling you guys whether I believe you should start or sit the running backs in all of those matchups. But before we could get into things, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter, please do so at NotoriousFNTSY. Today's video is sponsored by BetMGM. We'll be talking about them a little bit later. So without further ado, let's get on into my week number 13 running back start or sit decisions. Also important to note, there are two teams on bye this week, the Cardinals and the Panthers. So if you got them on your team, don't play them. Let's get into it. We begin with Thursday Night Football, the Buffalo Bills at the New England Patriots. Now, it was reported yesterday on Monday that Damien Harris would be missing this game, so I do fully expect Damien Harris to be missing for the Patriots, which gives Ramondre Stevenson a huge boost up, in my opinion. Now, Ramondre Stevenson was already a player that I was fully confident in, even with Damien Harris behind him, and recently we actually did end up seeing, once Damien Harris returned from injury recently, that Damien Harris was actually getting a lot more usage, and it was a little bit concerning. Now, I wasn't ready to fucking jump ship off of the Ramondre Stevenson train because the guy was catching so many passes game in and game out that it didn't really matter if they were giving Damien Harris more touches. But now without Damien Harris in this game and Pierre Strong Jr. behind him, I really think we are going to see a humongous workload out of Stevenson in this game. Now, I do not believe that this is some wet dream amazing matchup, right? Up against the Buffalo Bills, this will be a hard-fought game for the New England Patriots and Ramondre Stevenson, but ultimately he is a must-start running back game in and game out, and I'm firing him up this week with confidence. Devin Singletary is basically the exact opposite of Ramondre Stevenson. While he is listed as a start just like Stevenson, my confidence in Devin Singletary is relatively low because the Buffalo Bills do this thing in certain games where even if they're up by 1,000,000 points in the second half, they continue to metaphorically teabag the defense by throwing the rock 1,000,000 times late into the game instead of pivoting to Devin Singletary. Now, as of recently, over the last couple of games, they have kind of moved to trying to run the ball a little bit more, which has helped out Devin Singletary a ton. I do think this is a tough matchup up against the Patriots defense, so ultimately Devin Singletary is going to be a start because he is the #1 back on this team, but he's far from an ideal start. Like I said earlier, Ramondre Stevenson's a guy that I could see being a top 5 running back on the week. Now, could Devin Singletary do that? Of course, but would I project that? Probably not. James Cook is going to be a sit. For some reason, the team brought in Nyheim Hines, and then the second Nyheim Hines showed up, they started using James Cook a little bit more. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Pierre Strong is going to be a sit because, again, Ramondre Stevenson is the guy in this backfield. Next up, we move to the Sunday slate, beginning with the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Atlanta Falcons. If Najee Harris is good to go, I am going to be starting him in this game. This is a wet dream matchup up against the Atlanta Falcons defense. The Falcons defense is absolutely putrid. And if I'm being completely honest with you guys, Najee Harris has looked a lot better as of recently. I will not tell you right now that it is a lock that Najee Harris plays because, in my opinion, more than likely he probably ends up sitting. In that case, I would go to Jaylen Warren, but Jaylen Warren is also banged up, so we might have to go with Benny Snell. There will be more updates to this as we get later and later on into the week as more and more news comes out about Najee Harris, but ultimately, whoever the running back ends up being for the Pittsburgh Steelers, that is the starter going into the game, I am going to play them because the Falcons defense is so fucking bad. Cordero Patterson has had 2 down games in a row. It really doesn't seem like this team wants to utilize him how they utilized him last season. They want to bring in Tyler Algier and use a myriad of running backs that they have. They have like 1,000,000 different running backs. It's like, you know how some teams have like a quarterback carousel, like the Panthers, where they've got PJ Walker, they got Baker Mayfield, they got Sam Darnold, and they're just cycling them in and out. That's what the Atlanta Falcons do with running backs, so I don't feel comfortable playing any of the running backs on the Falcons. Next up, we move to the Denver Broncos at the Baltimore Ravens. In this matchup, I'm going to be firing up Latavius Murray. Now, without Melvin Gordon on this team, Latavius Murray is the guy on this backfield that you want to be playing. Now, it has been reported that maybe Mike Boone could be activated for this game. So that would throw a bit of a wrench into things. It wouldn't scare me away from Latavius Murray, but I would not think he has as much upside if Boone is healthy and they're also using Marlon Mack. The matchup up against the Ravens defense is pretty solid. We just saw JaMycal Hasty go fucking crazy up against that defense last week. So Latavius Murray is also one of those bottom of the barrel starts though, but I do think he gets enough volume. The issue is that the Denver Broncos offense is so fucking bad that my confidence has to be limited in Latavius Murray because Russell Wilson looks like he has no idea what he is doing. Gus Bus Edwards and Kenyon Drake are going to be both running backs that are going to be used in this game, in my opinion. Last week, Kenyon Drake pulled a John Cena. You couldn't see him, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if this week, Kenyon Drake was the lead back on the team. The Baltimore Ravens running back attack, the running back room is incredibly hard to decipher game in and game out. If there was a gun to my head and you said, Nick, you got to start one of them, it would be Gus Edwards, but ultimately, I would rather just fade away from both of them. Next up, we got the Green Bay Packers at the Chicago Bears. It has been reported from Aaron Rodgers himself that he wants to play in this matchup up against the Bears. Makes sense. Aaron Rodgers is the owner of the Bears after all. Aaron Jones has looked downright incredible over the last couple of games, but we all know deep down, just like we saw last week in prime time up against the Eagles, that A.J. Dillon is still there, and there's going to be games where A.J. Dillon vultures Aaron Jones. There's going to be games where maybe A.J. Dillon out-touches Aaron Jones, but ultimately, in terms of if you're just trying to figure out who is the better back, it's Aaron Jones, and the team recently has really pivoted towards an Aaron Jones-centric offense, and I think with Aaron Rodgers banged up, it is more than likely that the team is going to look to try to run the game out here, run the ball a lot, just drain the clock with Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones could be with a smash matchup here up against a bad Bears defense. David Montgomery is a start. He's not necessarily one of those bottom of the barrel guys, but he's also not in the upper echelon like a guy like Aaron Jones potentially could be. David Montgomery is just a decent start. The matchup against the Packers defense isn't amazing. It's not terrible. Tristan Ebner was getting a little bit more work than I thought he would, but at the same time, Ebner's never going to get as much work as Khalil Herbert was getting when he was healthy. So David Montgomery's a start, but nothing to write fucking home about when it comes to David Montgomery. Next up, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Detroit Lions. So Travis Etienne Jr. ended up putting up an absolute stinker of a performance up against the Ravens. He ends up getting hurt in that game, and then he was cleared to come back, but Doug Peterson didn't end up rolling him back out there. Now, that could just be because the team was trying to be cautious, and JaMycal Hasty was running incredibly well, and I honestly think that's what ended up happening. Now, going into this game, the matchup is amazing. This is another one of those wet dream matchups where you're looking at it on paper, and your mouth starts salivating, right? You're thinking about, holy shit, the Lions defense is absolutely awful. Travis Etienne might score 30 points. And you know what? I think that could be true. But ultimately, what we saw last week does have me at least somewhat concerned about Etienne going into this game. How much usage is he going to get? Is the team going to just try to play things safe and they're going to use more Hasty than normal? And then ultimately, Travis Etienne becomes a touchdown dependent running back. And if he doesn't score, he ends up being dust for you. Now, as the week goes on, we'll have more and more news about the situation, and we'll be able to kind of dissect it a little bit easier. As we're sitting right now on Tuesday, I do think Etienne is start worthy. I do think he's going to be good to go on Sunday, but my confidence in him is not very high. Jamal Williams is the guy to start for the Detroit Lions. This guy is just the king of scoring touchdowns. The second they get within the 5-yard line, the ball instantly goes to Jamal Williams, and with DeAndre Swift healthy, because when DeAndre Swift wasn't healthy, for some reason Jamal Williams couldn't score as effectively. When DeAndre Swift is there on the sideline watching, Jamal Williams puts on a fucking show. He's always scoring. The Jaguars defense isn't the best, so I think Jamal Williams might have a field day. DeAndre Swift is start worthy, but he is one of those bottom of the barrel guys. He has all of the talent. The problem is I think he might still be banged up, or at least that's what the team thinks, and Dan Campbell will never give him the true workload that he truly deserves. Hopefully next year, people are going to be so nervous to draft DeAndre Swift, and then Swift's going to end up being a smash next year. So right now, he's a guy that I'm starting, but again, not banging the drum aggressively for him, whereas I am banging the drum aggressively for my guy Jamal with 2 A's. Williams, JaMycal Hasty is a sit. Again, if for some reason Travis Etienne ends up not being good to go, then I'm playing JaMycal Hasty. But if Etienne's playing, I'm staying away from JaMycal Hasty. Before we get on into the rest of the games to break down from the running back position, I would like to give you guys a quick word for our friends, our sponsor over at BetMGM. Now, if you're a brand new user to BetMGM, and click on the link in the video description down below and sign up, if you bet $10 on any World Cup pre-game money line, you will win $200 in free bets if a goal is scored during the World Cup. So your bet could lose. Your bet could get demolished. And guess what? You will still receive $200 in free bets as long as another goal is scored during the World Cup, which is guaranteed to happen because now we are advancing into the real stages of things, the actual tournament where you can't just draw. So someone's going to score and you will receive your $200 in free bets. Real quick, look at the screen right now. I'm going to show you guys how to do it. Again, at the top of the screen on BetMGM, it's going to say soccer. After you sign up, you're going to click on there and then you're going to pick whichever game you want. You can pick your favorite team, whatever you want, or you could just go with the pick that I go with, the biggest favorite on the day, and then you bet $10 on that, and you receive $200 in free bets if any team scores a goal in the World Cup, which again is guaranteed to happen. And then you can use these bets not just on the World Cup, you can use your free bets on the NFL, NBA, whatever you want. Next up, we move to the Cleveland Browns at the Houston Texans, the comeback game for Deshaun Watson. 9-inch Nicholas Chubb is going to go balls deep into this Houston Texans defense. The Texans have one of the bottom run defenses in the NFL, and they are going to be bottoming for Nick Chubb as he absolutely dominates the Houston Texans defense. I think this is a smash game for 9-inch Nicholas Chubb. Dameon Pierce has had back-to-back games that looked absolutely no bueno. He went up against the Dolphins run D. The Dolphins have one of the best run Ds in the NFL, and they locked him up in a box. Ultimately, though, I do think this could be a bounce-back game up against the Browns. The Browns defense isn't really all that amazing, and I think Dameon Pierce could get it done, but we're no longer at the point of the season that we were at a couple of weeks ago, where Pierce is a guy that I'm advocating for, oh shit, he has top 5 potential. The problem with Pierce has nothing to do with the player. The player, when you watch the game, when you see him get the rock, when he gets in space, he can make incredible things happen. The problem is the team he's on, the Texans, are so fucking bad that they can't run the ball a lot, which hurts Dameon Pierce. And then, of course, last week, Dare Ogunbowale of the fame of being a Jacksonville Jaguar and people picking him up instead of James Robinson in James Robinson's amazing season a couple of years ago. But ultimately, Dameon Pierce is still the guy, and I'm confident in him. Kareem Hunt is going to be a sit. Kareem Hunt hasn't done shit for fantasy football outside of week number 1. We're in week number 13. That was 12 weeks ago. Leave him on the bench. Next up, we got the New York Jumbo Jets at the Minnesota Vikings. Dalvin Cook, the chef himself, will be a start in this game. Now, obviously, the Jets defense is no pushover. The Jets have one of the best, if not straight up the best defenses in all of the National Football League. Now, I fully expect Kirk Cousins himself to be able to have a day even up against a tough Jets defense. After all, this game is being played at 1 o'clock. And Kirk Cousins is nicknamed the new nightmare. He's the king of the 1 o'clock games. So I think Dalvin Cook is able to perform here. Again, this isn't the best matchup ever, but you're going to start Dalvin Cook regardless of the matchup, right? Zonovan Knight, Michael Carter. This is a situation that we are going to have to assess more as the week goes on, because Michael Carter might not play. We might not see James Robinson. And if that's the case, then Zonovan Knight, however you pronounce his name, I'm sorry, he has a very sick name for a running back, Zonovan Knight. But if he becomes the guy, then up against the Vikings defense, I think I would kind of think about starting him. Now, again, he's not one of those, even if he becomes a start, he's not an upper echelon start, but I think the matchup up against the Minnesota Vikings is pretty decent, and Zonovan Knight rushed for 69 yards. Very nice. I like. He looked pretty solid last week, so I'm not trying to be all out on Zonovan Knight, but we gotta wait for more news to truly break down the situation. And the Jets, as I'm recording this video, just signed running back Jonathan Ward, who was on the Arizona Cardinals, so that would lead me to believe right now, again, I'm not saying this is for sure, but based upon that move would lead me to believe that maybe James Robinson or Michael Carter, someone's gonna miss, and then maybe we could elevate Zonovan Knight to be a start, but that's also why we talk more about the running back position later on in the week, because there is more news in the rankings video. So if you have ended up enjoying thus far, far, you want to see that video, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below if you are new. Whether you are new or not, please make sure you leave a like on today's video. It helps us out a ton. And again, if you have any questions about week 13, it's so crazy that's week 13. It just feels like the season started a second ago. Please make sure that you ask down below. Next up, we move to the Washington Commanders at the New York Football Giants. Now, hilariously, after Brian Robinson demolished the Atlanta Falcons defense last week, the guy put on a hat, and if you haven't seen this picture, go ahead and look it up. This man is wearing a comically large hat. I'm not talking about like a hat that's too big to where it doesn't fit. It looks a little funny. No, I'm talking about a hat that is so large that it's bigger than his head. It looks funny as fuck. Look it up. If you haven't seen this picture, I'm telling you, it's pretty funny. Brian Robinson played well last week, but ultimately, I'm still under the belief that you should be leading with Antonio Gibson. I think if you are in a deeper league, you can consider starting Brian Robinson. I don't necessarily love this matchup up against the Giants. I honestly think this matchup might be a snooze fest, might be a low-scoring affair, but I do think Antonio Gibson is start-worthy, and if you are in a deeper league, you can go with Robinson, but Robinson will be a sit for me. Antonio Gibson just has more upside because of the pass-catching ability. Saquon Barkley is a must-start every single week. Doesn't matter to me. The matchup, the Commanders' defense has looked a lot better as of recently. Chase Young may be back in this game, which could impact Saquon Barkley's upside, but again, when you have a running back that plays up to the caliber of a guy like Saquon Barkley, you don't give a fuck who the defense is, you are going to start him. Matt Breida is every once in a while going to score a touchdown. It's going to piss you off if you have Saquon Barkley on your team, but ultimately he is not start worthy. Next up, we got the Les Titans at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles just got into a shootout up against the Green Bay Packers, and that was a very exciting game. In that game, Miles Sanders woke up angry. He woke up feeling dangerous like Baker Mayfield back in Cleveland because he must have had some vendetta against that Green Bay Packers defense, because after a couple of down games for Sanders, and I told everyone, don't panic on Sanders. Some people probably panicked, but I said, don't panic. And then Sanders has a fucking feast. Very fitting for near being around Thanksgiving. He has a great game. The Titans defense is pretty good against the run, so I'm not advocating for a smash spot for Miles Sanders, Hulk fucking smash, this humongous 20-plus point game. Like, I don't expect him to do what he just did to the Green Bay Packers, because he just absolutely skull-fucked the Green Bay Packers. I definitely do not expect that in this spot, but I do think he's good enough to be start-worthy. Derrick Henry, another one of those guys like Saquon, where you just close your eyes, you do the Bird Box challenge, if you guys remember that movie from Netflix, where they have, like, the thing over their eyes, like the bandana, so that I've never seen the fucking movie, but I think if you look at the monster, it just kills you. So if you have a bandana covering your eyes, you can't see the monster and it won't kill you. That's me explaining a movie that I've never fucking seen, so that might be just the wrong premise. Someone's gonna be like, Nick, you stupid motherfucker, that's not at all what the movie's about. I watched the trailer a couple of times. It used to be on TV. Pretty interesting, but never seen the movie. Ultimately, though, I do think you just cover your eyes, start Derrick Henry, don't think twice, and plus the Eagles' defense against the run is very bad. Very, very bad. Dontrell Hilliard, every once in a while, he's going to score. He's one of those guys, but you're going to roll with Derrick Henry, and that run last week where Derrick Henry fumbled, it was great for everyone who had Treylon Burks. I was happy, but kind of sucked if you had Derrick Henry, because that was a fantastic run. That was a grown-ass man run, and as it gets colder, as your nipples get erect as you go outside, when it starts getting this cold, I mean, some people probably live that watch these videos. People live all over the fucking world that watch these videos, but not everyone lives in the cold like I do in New Jersey, but in Philadelphia, it's pretty fucking cold, so I assume Derrick Henry is going to be able to smack up that defense. Kenneth Gainwell is going to be a sit, but again, he's another one of those running backs that once every like 5 weeks, he's going to score a touchdown. Next up, we move to the Seattle Seahawks at the LA Rams. Kenneth Walker had a good game, but it was because he scored, and it's not really because he had like a prolific running game where fucking 4 yards a carry, 4.5 yards a carry, where he's just slicing the defense up like he's former running back of the Buffalo Bills, O.J. Simpson. That's just not what was happening. But hey, you know, I'm not someone who's going to apologize for scoring fucking touchdowns. So up against the Rams defense, the Rams have basically thrown in the towel. Aaron Donald is hurt with the what are those called? The air quotes, the hurt. He's hurt. Wink, wink. He's not fucking hurt, but they're benching his ass. He's out for the next couple of weeks. The Rams are done. There's no Cooper Kupp. There's no Allen Robinson. There's no Matthew Stafford. This Rams team is on an iconic Super Bowl hangover. They drank a little too much Henny. That's what it'll do it to you. It's bad. It's bad. Kyren Williams is if I had to start one of these guys, it'd be Kyren. He outsnapped Cam Akers, basically doubled his snaps. Kyren Williams looks good. The Seahawks run defense just got absolutely fucked. They got done dirty. They got diddled by Josh Jacobs. Ran a train on him. Like, Josh Jacobs, that is one of the best running back performances I've ever seen. And I don't know about anyone else, but on CBS, like Scott Hansen, I watch Red Zone on my TV that's above me. It's shooting the white light at me so that there's, lighting so I don't look like I'm in the fucking basement. I'm in a basement, basically. And then on my monitor, this other screen I have, it's like a 32-inch screen, I watch the Dolphins game on Sunday Ticket. And Scott Hansen's like, oh, well, just go to your local CBS affiliate, watch the rest of the game. And the fucking game isn't on there. I don't know what type of wizardry shit happened in the New York area, but there was no game to watch. So I had to go on Sunday Ticket on my laptop that's on the other monitor and watch the game. I mean, it wasn't a big deal, but I just thought that was weird because I got a lot of tweets from other people being like, what the fuck? I didn't see that cool run where Josh Jacobs just literally, there was no one in front of him. Once he got out, it was just 70 yards of greener pastures and he ran directly into the end zone. Great game out of him. We're not talking about the Raiders just yet. We'll be talking about them a little bit later. I've already given the metaphorical autofellatio, the Gawk 9000 to Josh Jacobs. I'm sure if you had Josh Jacobs, you won your week, because if you didn't and he scored that many points, then your team's probably in the dumpster. Again, Kenneth Walker, just talked about Kenneth Gainwell. Kenneth Walker III is a good start against the Rams. Too long, didn't read. Kyren Williams, again, he's the better guy out of Cam Akers and him. But again, when you have Bryce fucking Perkins as your starting quarterback, do you really want to start that running back? Travis Homer is a sit. Next up, we move to the Miami Dolphins at the San Francisco 49ers. And this game is heating up, baby. The Dolphins players and the Niners players are going toe-to-toe on Twitter. Raheem Mostert said some shit, basically, in an interview that has been kind of taken out of context. But basically, he said, my quarterback can actually throw the ball. Wink, wink, wink. Jimmy can't throw the ball. We have a lot of weapons. This team's better than the 49ers. This is vengeance. We're fucking pissed. Me and Jeff Wilson are going to run a train on your bitch-ass defense, basically, is what I took from it. Now, as a Dolphins fan, I don't like that we gave them bulletin board material, but Mike McDaniel used to be on the Niners. Jeff Wilson, Raheem Mostert on the Niners. This is a triple revenge game. I think Sherfield also used to be on the Niners, so like a quadruple revenge game. We got some big revenge game here. Jeff Wilson got hurt in last week's game against the Texans, but I think it was just cramping. Like, he went down, he's not able to move, and like comically Tyreek Hill's like throwing him through his legs, like, fucking get off the field, like, get out of here. And he didn't play the best. He scored a touchdown. Like, if you started him in fantasy, you weren't mad, but if you played him in DFS like I did, you were probably pretty pissed off. But Raheem Mostert did not play in that game. I expect him to play this week. The Niners' run defense is pretty good, so I don't think this is a smash game out of Jeff Wilson, but I love the revenge game narrative. Raheem Mostert is going to be a sit, but that's just because Jeff Wilson has started to outsnap him, and it's pretty clear Jeff Wilson's better than Mostert. Again, that doesn't mean Mostert's just some guy you want to fucking cut off your team, but ultimately, Mostert's not the guy Jeff Wilson is. Christian McCaffrey got banged up. A bunch of running backs got hurt on the 49ers. Their backup now, more than likely, is Jordan Mason. So if Christian McCaffrey can't go, that's really bad. I think McCaffrey's going to go. The Dolphins' run defense is A1 steak sauce. Chef's kiss magnifique, but you're never sitting fucking Christian McCaffrey. That would just be a crazy thing for me to say. Next up, we got the Kansas City Chiefs at the Cincinnati Bengals. This is one of those matchups that get your cock hard in the morning when you wake up on Sunday. You're like, oh yeah, Chiefs at Bengals, baby. Should be a fun one. I am a big fan of both of these offenses. Again, I think the Dolphins hopefully can beat both of these teams when it comes, all things are said and done in the playoffs as a Dolphins fan. But obviously, when I'm talking about stuff in a video, I have to be very serious, not talk about my bias. And I don't have any bias when it comes to talking about the Dolphins games on these videos. Obviously, if you follow me on Twitter, you know that Anytime the ref does the Dolphins dirty, I get pissed off. I say the Dolphins are going to beat the Niners by 50. In reality, it's probably going to be Dolphins win by 3 or Niners win by 3. It's going to be a close game. Chiefs at Bengals, this should be a very, very fun one. I am very excited about this game. Like I said, Pacheco has been playing out of his mind, downright fucking incredible ever since CH got hurt. The Bengals run defense isn't the best, so I think this is a really good spot for him. They just brought in Melvin Gordon, who I think is going to get some touches. They have Ronald Jones. They have Jerick McKinnon. McKinnon's going to catch passes because Pacheco doesn't really catch passes, and that's really just his biggest downfall as a running back for fantasy, because you hand the guy the rock, he's able to push through the defense. He looks incredible, but the problem is Mahomes, my homie, never really throws the ball to him, so it kind of sucks, but ultimately, it is what it is. Pacheco's still start-worthy. Joe Mixon, it has been reported that it seems like he's going to be good to go in this game. Now, again, this video is recorded on Tuesday. By the time I record the rankings video, maybe Mixon's not as likely to play. Again, I expect him to play, but I'm as much of a doctor as Johnny Sins, so what do I know? Joe Mixon is a start, though. If he plays, obviously. If he does not play, then Samaje Perine goes from being a sit to a start. Again, Pacheco's a start. Mixon's a start. Mixon's like a must-start every week. Jerick McKinnon's a sit, as is Samaje Perine. Next up, we got the L.A. Superchargers at, turn your volume down, the Las Vegas Raiders. This should be a fun one. The Raiders are on the highest of highs. The Chargers are looking pretty good as well. Should be a fun matchup. The Chargers win a game because check down merchant Justin Herbert, the pervert, can dump the ball off tackler a million times. It's a joke. Herbert's a great quarterback. A lot of people are like hating on Herbert now. Come on, stupid. But Austin Eckler is really good. Raiders run defense really bad. Recipe for success. Josh Jacobs, again, just literally sodomized the defense of the Seattle Seahawks. Just 50 Shades of Grey style. Fucking whips and all. Fucking tied him up. Hog-tied like Red Dead Redemption. Arthur Morgan. What's the other guy's name? John Marston. Fucking tie him up. Hog-tie him. Tied him to the train tracks. Watch him get run over. That's some fucked up shit that I used to do as a kid. Obviously not in real life, but in Red Dead Redemption, I always thought it was so funny to like just grab someone, tie him up, put him on your horse, and then just put him on the train tracks. I always thought that shit was so funny. Obviously that's a little fucked up, but I don't know. I thought it was funny, but Josh Jacobs start here up against the Chargers. Austin Eckler, start him against the Raiders. Pretty simple. Don't need to have some crazy discourse here. Amir Abdullah's touchdown celebration is sick, where he's like the fucking Karate Kid. He goes, "Hee-yaw!" He fucking kicks his right foot out or his left foot. Not sure which one, don't remember, but it's pretty sick celebration. He does a spin as well. I really liked how Josh Jacobs, again, not to just go down some fucking rabbit hole here, but I liked how when the Raiders were scoring, they're doing the caw, like you can't see my arms because they're fucking restricted by a thing, but they were swinging their arms up and down, caw, like they were a fucking hawk every time they scored. Very funny. I'm all for the funny celebrations. Isaiah Spiller's a sit. Amir Abdullah is a sit. Next up, we got the Colts at the Cowboys. What everyone wanted on Sunday Night Football. Jonathan Taylor, you're going to start him. The Colts literally looked like, I don't even know how to describe it. The Colts looked like they had no idea what they were fucking doing. They looked like they went out there. They looked like the Helen Keller fucking school of blind and deaf out there. It was embarrassing to see. Hard to watch, but Jonathan Taylor still played well. Still starting him even up against Dallas. Tony Pollard is the better running back than Ezekiel Elliott, but the team's still going to use Zeke, so Fat Boy Zeke's also a start, as is Tony Pollard. At this point, though, with how Zeke has produced, I think I like Zeke more than Pollard if I had both of them. And again, it's not because Zeke's a better player. It's because Jerry Jones and Fat Boy Mike McCarthy love to give the ball to Zeke. Deion Jackson's a sit. When Jonathan Taylor's healthy, you're just sitting the backup. Now we move to the final game here. Monday Night Football, Saints at Bucks, the annual Mike Evans versus Marshawn Lattimore duel. What's that called in Game of Thrones? Shit, I can't remember, but I'm going to look it up. It's called a trial by combat, using the quick Googles right there, the Bings. Trial by combat between Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore. That shit is funny every time. Last time they were throwing punches. Should be a fun one to watch. Not the greatest matchup, though. Alvin Kamara's been pretty bad. Like, let's just be honest here. Let's keep it a buck. We're 25 plus minutes into this video. You've already been listening through all types of crazy shit that I've said. So the fact that Alvin Kamara has been dog shit is not new to anyone. He hasn't played the best, but again, are you going to sit a guy with the caliber of Alvin Kamara who at any point could score 30 fantasy points? Fuck no, baby. No, you're not. They're not. Rashad White Sheesh. Looked good. Didn't score the most fantasy points last week up against the Browns, but did look good. Think he's earned his right on top of the metaphorical Iron Throne as the lead running back in Tampa. I assume Uncle Lenny plays, but who knows? And then Mark Ingram, any of the backups for the Saints are sits. So thank you guys all so much for watching. If you ended up enjoying today's video, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure you hit a like on today's video. It really does help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter, please do so at NotoriousFNTSY. Make sure you check out our sponsor of today's video, BetMGM. Again, bet $10 on any, if you're a new user, bet $10 on any pregame Moneyline World Cup bet, any team, and you'll win $200 in free bets as long as a goal is scored in the World Cup, which is guaranteed to happen. So you'll receive your $200 in free bets. Make sure you guys check that out. I love you guys all so much. Hope you guys all have a great rest of your guys' day. We'll be back tomorrow, and as always, good boy.